And stay in your houses. Drive the rats in the tank area.
What the hell are we doing on a Tuesday? Oh, I know what happened. Hoof Beast had a show last night that actually coincides with our theme for this evening, which is the top 10, at least between the two of us, as far as the best in thrash metal that weren't the big four. And today is officially Titillating Tuesday.
Titillating. Oh, that's awesome.
It wouldn't be a Tuesday without Danzig's nipples. Come on. Here, one more time, just in case you didn't see it. Well, before we kick this motherfucker off, we're going to take a quick commercial break over to, actually, we're going to take a look at the bands of Reapers Underground Productions. Let's check it out. All right. So, a couple of updates on some of those bands. Man, there's a whole lot of shit going on. Obviously, Hoof Beast has been working tirelessly on this next effort, as well as I most likely am going into the studio to record next month. So be looking for the updates on that shit because it's going to blow your fucking balls off. Also, Sensation will be on the Underground tomorrow, which is going to kick off the Reapers Underground Badass Women of Metal and Horror Week. Actually, 2 weeks. It's going to be 2 weeks. And let's see what else. October Noir currently has a brand new fucking video. So for all you typo negative fans, get to their YouTube, check the fucking video out. The song is so dark and so eerie. It reminds you of probably the darkest typo negative songs. Very slow, very fucking doomy. and just creepy. I love it. It's fantastic. So check that shit out. And also, fucking Pupengott in Germany just released an entire merch line. And talk about creepy shit. Check out his latest t-shirts. Go to his Instagram. He is beautifully weird and dark, and I love his art. All right. So we are here to kick off this top 10 list of thrash bands that didn't get the fucking love that they should have. Because when we think of the big four in thrash, it is just not Metallica. Megadeth, I feel that they belong there. Anthrax, hell no. Hell to the fucking no. And let's see, who's the other one? Oh, Slayer. I'm all right with Slayer. That's fine. But I just thought they were more speed than thrash. Oh, there's the t-shirt. Welcome, everybody in the comments section. I see y'all are having a fucking beautiful time over there. All right. So let's kick it off. My first pick, and I don't know if we're going to mirror each other because I have like a lot of honorable mentions, of course.
Oh my gosh, so many honorable
It's
mentions.
fucking ridiculous. But I am going to start with the first time I was introduced to the genius of Gene Hoglan's drumming, and that, of course, is in the band Dark Angel.
That's excellent choice. I knew you were going to choose that one, so I didn't pick them.
So
That's
fucking near and
excellent
dear to
choice.
my heart. I mean, how could I not?
Yep.
You know, and I'll always remember because the way I was introduced to them was they did a cover of Led Zeppelin's. Damn it, I'm trying to remember the name of that song. Fuck, it's the one.
Yeah.
I just can't think of it, and I did a poor job of trying to vocalize it. So let's just strike that one from the record. But anyways, I heard that shit, and that guy's voice got higher than Robert Plant's. I mean, vocalist is on point. Very, I don't know, think about like this old creepy witch type voice. That's what I really loved about it. Guitars are fucking thrashy nasty. And then, of course, you had Gene Hoglan, just double bass master, who had a penchant for taking broken pieces of metal and putting them on cymbal stands to get really interesting sounds. So, very thrashy, unapologetically, and they're just awesome. So if you haven't checked them out, please do.
And very dark for thrash bands. Like they're one of the heavier, darker bands. When did the first album come out? Like 84, 83. And the vocals on that were approaching kind of black metal. Like they were like the early kind of flavor of black metal. Really heavy. So if you like your thrash heavier than any of the top four, and I would even say Megadeth too. What the hell?
That's what I'm saying.
What the hell?
She likes her metal sad, dreary, and slow.
Yeah, and you know that's something when I was watching the bands last night, especially Heathen. Heathen is happy thrash. Anthrax is happy thrash. Metallica's pretty dark. Face of Black
just says it all right here.
Oh. Well, I love. Well, when I have that need, I need a fix for that. I listen to Bauhaus.
And that's totally fine.
Bauhaus. Oh, love them. That was the band. That was the Chick Magnet band because girls in high school, when you liked Bauhaus, well, they liked The Cure. A lot of them would like The Cure or Duran
Who the hell didn't?
But when I showed them the darkness of the Bauhaus, I was quite mysterious, and they liked that.
Yes. We agree, JD. We did a whole fucking show on that new album.
I wouldn't call that an album. I would call that a limp dick. A
Maybe he
limp
needs
dick,
some eugenics.
a castrated genitalia with a limp dick. That's what that album is.
Ah, oh, don't worry. Metallica is not on our list. As a matter of fact, I don't consider them as part of the big four. We've said it before. Two of those bands just don't even belong.
Up till 91, I definitely would have had them in there. And to me, it's either them or Slayer or the Kings of it. But
Right.
but not after Injustice for All. After that, they weren't
They
thrashing
handed
anymore.
in their man card,
They
their
did.
metal card, all of it.
And when Load came out, they were trying to do some grunge shit that was some fucking bullshit.
Oh,
So
it was load all right. A load of shit.
now, but Dark Angel is a really good technical, excellent solos, biting tone, like a really bitey distortion, and Gene Hoglan on the kit in the back, like absolutely excellent. And this is a band I didn't get into back in the 80s or 90s. This is a newer band for me.
It's
So
kind of like it's kind of like a diamond in the rough, if you will, out of that entire mix. Paul Nada says they are the founding four. Now, do you think that it was really founding? Because when we look at Metallica's early catalog, there is only one thrash album from start to finish. It's called Kill 'Em All. Not that, I'm not trying to crap on anyone's parade or anything. I'm still a huge fucking fan of Kill 'Em All, the album. I
that's
don't
excellent.
think there was a sour tune on the whole fucking thing. If you just want fat thrash, fast thrash, real nasty, real in your face, that's a great album. I'm
Yep.
not taking shit away from it, believe me. Megadeth, well, let's face it, Dave wrote that album and then wrote his own album.
Mhm.
So sure, if you want to say they kind of single-handedly kind of started it, sure. Slayer just doesn't hit me as thrash. Just doesn't.
Yeah, they remind me more of speed metal, but they're
Yeah.
always thrown in.
There was
Like
nobody faster, I
to
thought.
me, they took Venom and they one-upped Venom. They like 10-upped Venom in with the speed. Because the first album, Show No Mercy, is that is a lot like Venom. Like it's black and roll almost, like old black and roll.
For
And then
sure.
after that, they were kind of themselves, and Metallica kind of went on this kind of epic kind of metal that wasn't exactly thrash. But the bands I think we're both going to share, Dark Angel, definitely thrash. And if we're talking about thrash, we kind of have to. You want to talk about what a D beat is? Because that's a huge. The band Discharge really came out with a D beat, and all of these bands talk about Discharge and the kind of punk influence, and then they took that and just made it into something more technical and a little bit better. But the
Oh
D
yeah.
beat is a big thing in thrash. When you hear that D beat coming, you usually you're with thrash band.
And the fast chugga chugga
Yeah.
with like the occasional wah 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 chugga 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 wah 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 wah. That's what I don't know.
Yep.
When I think about thrash, there's a lot of that.
Yeah. So the D beat is a downbeat, right?
Correct. It's
Right?
where the snare hits on all four quarters.
Right. Yep. So do you want to give us a demo of that? You're really good at your demos.
Motorhead. They kind of like
Oh yeah.
one of the first to fucking do that beat in uh Ace of Spades.
Yeah.
And then even with the double kicks behind it, the drummer was great for that. So I think thrash took from that, which was like late 70s, and like made it nastier and bigger. And then Lombardo came around and just went, I mean, there's can't touch that fucking guy. Can't really do it so much anymore. But then again,
Reaper, who's your favorite drummer of all time?
Oh man, I got favorite drummers of all time from all different fucking genres of music. I guess I have a big three. Buddy Rich, first and foremost, because ain't nobody can touch him. Sorry. Bill Ward. And then I would have to say Gene Hoglan. As far as like, in my opinion, the best, probably one of the best technical drummers that is metal. Obviously, Bill Ward for his doom, and then the technical ability, speed, and prowess of Buddy Rich combined. All three of those things makes a badass drummer, in my opinion.
My favorite
Ginger
drummer,
Baker, sure. Absolutely. Ginger was great. But I liked his jazz better. Because in his later years, that's what he went on to do after Cream. So,
and my favorite drummer is Frost, but that's from a live performance standpoint, and I've never seen him. I've just watched videos. He does the fucking windmill while he plays, and he hits fucking hard.
That does take talent.
He
definitely
looks fucking cool. I used to love to watch.
Go ahead.
And Chuck Biscuits, I used to love to watch him. That was a visual performance. Yeah, I loved watching him play.
He's definitely a huge influence on me.
Probably my favorite drummer overall is probably Dave Lombardo. Just and for me it's the and for me it's Dave Lombardo because of the South of Heaven album. When they started to slow things down, when he gets in that pocket and just hits that snare and his drum tone on South of Heaven, I fucking love.
And it's like when you take that record and you put it up against like the heavy, go, go, go all the time, you could hear him actually hitting harder because when you slow it down a bit, you can hit harder and it doesn't fucking kill your hands.
And my third is Dave McGraw from Cattle Decapitation. Just an absolute monster. Gravity blasts. Fucker does everything. He's a fucking monster.
No, I definitely have to agree with that. And I've been studying their double stroke bass drumming, which is how you get that inhumanly insane fast double kick. Because you're literally pumping out two hits per beater. So it's a tap down with the toes, heel down for the second. Then you do the same thing with your left foot, but it's simultaneously. So you're constantly like a fucking horse.
Yeah.
It's fucking sick. And it's going to take me a while to get that. I still do everything single stroke like my man Dave Lombardo.
Yeah. Awesome.
Man never used no fucking technique, but just back and forth like you're riding a bicycle. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. Sure, these guys are impressive. Don't get me wrong. But you know what? I've been watching a shit ton of blast beat videos over the last week. Every last one of them uses the Dave Weckl method of using their fingers to make the snare hits go fast. Guess what? Weckl did that back in the 90s. He's a jazz fusion drummer. So you can see that every genre of metal, for the most part, takes a lot out of the pages of jazz drummers. I'll always say that. It takes technical ability, man.
Oh, yeah. The creativity with them also. Doing unconventional things.
Shit. Even Lorna Shore's drummer is fucking just ridiculous to watch.
All right, my number one, my first pick, and it's who I saw last fucking night. And this is the fucking album. If I could tell you to listen to any fucking album, this is one of my top 30 albums of all time. And also, I would argue either this band or Solitude Nocturnus are the most underrated bands of all time. These
Oh,
guys
agreed.
are so fucking good. If you listen
What's
to,
up, Kelly?
what is it, Under the Influence, that's the album that came out before. This is the Years of Decay. And then after this was Horoscope. Those three albums are stunningly good, especially this one. This one came out in 1989, and the tone, the production, the chugga chug, the sounds of the drum kit, everything is totally on point. And if you like Doom, oh my gosh, Skull Crusher and the Years of Decay, fucking amazing songs. They only played Elimination last night, and Bobby Blitz said he can't do those songs because he's already had heart troubles. I think it was 2010 or 11, and like he nearly died. And
Oh,
he said those songs get his heart going too much. He can only do them in small bits.
and that's okay because I was just reading how Nick Menza went. Nick Menza, did Rust in Peace with Megadeth and some of their best fucking hits, in my opinion.
Mhm.
I mean, he was 3 songs into a set and out of it,
Mm.
gone. So everybody says, "Hey, Reaper, why aren't you playing extreme metal and shit like that?" I'm like, I'm reaching my upper years, thank you. Last thing I want to do is just keep fucking doing it, no matter how conditioned I am. It sometimes it just, I mean, that's how Buddy Rich went too. Motherfucker had a heart attack in the middle of a song, finished the fucking song, and then got taken straight to the fucking ambulance. It's like, holy shit balls. That ain't no, thank you. That's not what I
and,
want.
and was he wearing a tuxedo?
Oh yeah. He was
Hot
playing
as
Sinatra's
hell.
last concert.
Hot as
You
fucking
can
hell.
actually see it on YouTube.
Wow.
His whole performance. You could see where it hit too because of the facial expression on his face when he went
Mm.
as fast as he, how Buddy's known for.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, yep, his ticker just went.
Whoa,
I'm like, no fucking thank you. I
God.
mean, so don't be shitting on fucking older drummers, people. Just because they could do that shit 30 years ago. Dave Lombardo is not doing Slayer anymore.
Mm-mm.
And he's been off and on for years because he can't keep that up. Some drummers, we get, arthritis, especially in the wrists,
Mm.
elbows, knees. I'm just fortunate that I can still muscle my way through shit. Well, I also try to keep condition too. So, but yeah, man, Overkill, always a very well produced band too, record wise.
Mhm.
Everything always sounding good, very tight. You could probably definitely tell that they're using like Mesa Boogie or what's the other big thrash one?
See, Randall, they were using,
Randall.
yeah, the lead guitarist was using Randall last night, and the other guy couldn't make out what his stacks were. I hadn't seen him before, but the
Super
Randall,
fucking just
yeah, the
very
tone sounded
controlled
really good.
chaos is what I like to call it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. We got so much out in the comment section. You guys fucking rock. I love it. Uh, Kyler says, I recently had to explain who the Misfits was to someone. Um, were they raised in a barn, under a rock, in a cave? How do you not know? The fucking Misfit skull is everywhere. Fucking
Well,
hell.
that person can count themselves fortunate now to know who the Misfits are, especially if they
Oh,
learn about Earth AD.
right. Here's another one. Who was the one that got electrocuted with the mic during the show? I think I know what
Hmm.
he's talking about. Um, It was definitely a metal band. I think it was Stephen Percy of Rat.
I've
Which
been
would
shocked
explain
by
why he
mine
looks like
before.
a rat today.
He really does look like a rat. Absolutely. A
To
rat that's
just
been in the
change his
suntan bed.
fucking name to Stephen Rat because
He really does look like one too.
he looks like the fucking adopted dad of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
And that's probably the worst vocalist
Oh God!
that I've ever seen live. He is awful live.
Oh, especially if
Horrendous.
he's drunk.
And that was in like I think I saw him in 84. He was awful live.
Oh man, you saw him in
84 or
'84 and
85.
he was that fucking bad. Oh man,
Yeah.
that's terrible.
Horrendous. My freshman
And
year. Like,
to JD, Most Def, Whitesnake, because Tommy Aldridge.
I love
Tommy is
Tommy Aldridge.
he is the go-to guy. He's played literally on everyone's record or tour. He's the one who stepped in right after Ozzy's first solo record came out and did that tour. He did the entire the last Randy Rhoads album, Diary of a Madman, but he didn't do the tour. So his stank is on that record, which is why it's so good.
What a fun guy to watch too. And man, did he hit the kit hard. But I
Still
love watching
does.
his big O afro. Yeah, I was watching him this week. I watched 2 of his videos this week. Love watching him. I mean, he's got to be 75.
And still nailing it.
Oh,
Do you know
what?
that he is still playing note for note the same drum set solo from the early 80s?
Wow. I'd love. That's a
Mind
guy I
boggling.
would love to hang out with. He looks so warm and friendly. Love to hang out with Tommy Aldridge.
Yes, Babylon Sun, he did play for Black Oak, Arkansas. That is correct. That was like his big, like his longest mainstay band was Black Oak, Arkansas. Great fucking band, too. All right, we're on to number 2. Man, shit.
It
People
only
out
took
there in
us
Black Flame
27
Land just
minutes.
giving us all kinds of shit to answer tonight. I love it. All right. So for me, there was just, I don't know, the sunshine came out, the clouds lifted, and brought upon my head Testament. The first fucking time I heard Chuck Billy, I was like, this guy can do it all. His range is impeccable. He's got very crooning vocals, but I mean, he's not like a real high singer, but he can mix it up. Like, you know, he can go melodic, just intelligent lyrics. I think he's one of the best lyricists of that time, and he's still cranking out the tunes. And then that's how I discovered John Tempesta, who just, I mean, let's face it, there's so many great drummers that have played in Testament, but Tempesta was just so awesome, which is why I was sad when he went and did Rob Zombie's first 2 records. I'm like, dude, you were so fast, technically proficient, double kick on point, hard hitter, lots of nice cymbal work. It's like, man, you went and did Zombie, you sold out. But honestly, though, I mean, just all the way around, great riff writers, excellent fucking guitar solos. Very, very memorable guitar solos. There
Alex
really
Skolnick.
wasn't an album I didn't like.
Alex Skolnick's such a nice guy too.
I can
And
believe
then
it.
what's the other guitarist's last name? I think is Peterson, but I forgot the first name. But he seems like such a nice guy too.
For
I
sure.
saw them. I saw them on the Souls of Black tour. Was the first one, and Corrosion of Conformity opened up. Really? Yeah, I never had seen Kix live.
I did, sadly. So
You can concur.
my brother, unfortunately, had a pen show for Kiss. So I got dragged to the Kiss Hot in the Shade tour, and Kix was the opener. And let me tell you, they should have just ate the cereal.
Yeah.
One of the worst bands I ever heard. All of them, just terrible.
Yeah.
And it's like the louder they turn that shit up, this was back in the old Richfield Coliseum days, they couldn't turn it up enough to make them sound any better because it fucking sucked.
Uh,
And Kyler, I don't get me wrong, I love Rob Zombie. I got love for him. But we're talking about this caliber of a drummer. It's like he demoted himself. I don't know.
yeah,
Just
Rob Zombie is mostly like he's in a groove. He's not
very much.
about he's not about featuring the instruments. Like he has so much charisma in the groove that he writes into his songs with his vocals and usually the guitars as well, and the drums is really groovy. All right, what the hell's going to be my number two? Oh, here it is. So, like, I'm kind of waiting on which ones you're going to choose to see. So I have all kinds of CDs and albums laid around me, so that we can give them 10 different ones.
Oh, for sure.
So mine is over from Europe, and there are several from Europe that are outstanding. Europe in like
Yes.
84, 85 was a little nastier and a little dirtier. Although Slayer was pretty damn dirty. These guys, their vocals were kind of like maybe more influenced by Bathory and kind of nearing black metal kind of vocals. And so I'm talking about fucking Creator.
Good thing I didn't say that. They're on my
Cre-
list.
Creator is fucking amazing. I saw them like it was 1991. I forget. I think they headlined. Yeah, they headlined. And it was at the Masquerade in Atlanta. And it was the Coma Souls tour. I wish I still had this fucking t-shirt because it was basically this head with the little kind of people doing things in the brain, which is pretty cool. So these
Hell
guys
yeah.
are, again, not exactly thrash. Like there are some bands that we'll bring up tonight that are outright out through and through thrash. These guys are pretty nasty, kind of speed, kind of a little bit, kind of like a precursor to extreme metal, kind of like Exhorder were. Exhorder isn't exactly kind of chuggy like a lot of other thrash bands, but and
Mm-hmm.
so Coma Souls is my favorite album by them. And then also Extreme Aggression, Out Fucking Standing. And this is another band like Overkill that has, and I haven't found a bad album. There's no 1 or 2 out of 5 stars. Like they might have some 3, 3.5s that just aren't quite as memorable, but they've stuck with it. They have so many albums out. They've stuck with it all these years. The last 2 albums are excellent, really thrashy, but heavier than like 80s thrash too. Nastier.
Europe always brought more of an edge, and I don't know. You can see the influence from Europe on some of the biggest American thrash bands of all fucking time. Welcome, Vampire Penance Fan Club. All right, glad you could make it, man. This is our metal show. Very cool. So for my number 3, this is a band that I just felt just did not get the love they deserved. Very just attitude. When you think and hear the name of this band, you're going to think attitude. It is Nuclear Assault.
Oh, yeah.
Nuclear Assault they just didn't give a fuck. They didn't give a fuck what they said. Moments that were just a little funny at times, but just nasty sounding guitars. Drums were not always the best produced, in my opinion, but
Exactly. I listened to them all 3 albums all 3 of their 80s albums on my ride home from Atlanta last night. Totally agree.
but
And
go
the
ahead.
guitars, the way they produce the guitars, there's hardly any distortion, especially on the last 2. Now on the first EP, I think the Plague, or back then it was Game Over. And well, Game Over had, I think, the skull with the horns and the 2 big nuclear silos on the side, and you can't find that. We don't have that one on Facebook anymore. I had that. I had all of them on cassette, and that's the one I never replaced because I couldn't find it.
Yeah, and I just felt like, they really should have gotten more coverage, my
Hmm.
opinion. But that's why they didn't last. They just didn't have enough PR behind them. And honestly, I didn't feel like, I mean, the the record self-titled, in my opinion, is the best of what they got. Very
Hmm.
defining moment for them. But definitely, you know, had a little bit more better production on that one, but the drums just always lacked. Very, I don't know, thuddy. Too
Yeah,
thuddy. Got to have some crack in there, damn it. That's how you
yeah, a
can,
little boxy.
eh.
Yeah,
So
kind of
that was the only
boxy.
thing that kind of turned me off, about them, but still got some love for them. So
Oh,
that's why I put
the
them on there.
intensity and they were speed metal too, really fucking fast. And was it
Mm,
Dan Lilliker, the
yes.
bass player that played with Brutal Truth as well? Big, tall, lumbering guy. Yeah, he was with them. Yeah, what a fun band too. I once there was an he was in he was on what did they call that? Hard and Heavy. It was a
Oh, yeah.
VHS that came out in the 80s, and so he was on there, Candlemass. But I got to hear his interviews, and the lead vocalist was talking about how he couldn't write about demons and like horror stuff. More power to him. I like it all, but he was just saying, I want to write about something that's real. So almost every song was about nuclear war or the environment and how we're fucking up the environment, things like that. And I appreciated that out by them.
Yeah. I mean, that's like I said, they had more of an attitude. They weren't trying to be all mystical and ride the satanic panic like Slayer did.
Hmm.
So and it made them different. And at the same token, what was super popular at that time? Everything that was dark and scary and creature like. So it's okay. I loved them because they were their own thing, and they didn't give a fuck.
Oh, by the way, for Testament, this was my favorite Testament album, The New
Yep,
Order. Love this album. That was my favorite. Legacy's really good. Practice What You Preach. I hated the drums in there. It
yep.
sounded like a brown bag, like a brown grocery bag that was being flicked and popped. It sounded bad.
I could definitely agree with that. Legacy
Or
was
or
definitely no shit.
or a big cardboard box. All right. Well, my number three, it's probably, I'm guessing this might have been one that you chose, is a
Possibly.
band that just re-recorded their first two albums, an EP,
Nice.
Morbid Visions and Bestial. What the hell's the other one? Bestial. I used to have them back on cassette, and those are albums that I did not want to replace because the production was so awful. I could hardly hear the riffs. And I am, of course, talking about Sepultura.
Yes.
So there is Chaos AD and then Arise. Amazing. One of the best album cover arts. And then Beneath the Remains. Beneath the
That
Remains is
right
actually,
there, that album right there. Not saying that Chaos AD was bad, but Beneath the Remains just took us by storm. Set a standard. The problem with them, they just had trouble finding the right producer.
yes, damn it. This album, this is the next one I want them to re-record. Because by the way, it just was released a week or two ago. They've redone those albums. They are amazing thrash albums. Amazing. I'm gonna buy both of them. They're
Fuck yeah.
really, really good. And they're playing, I think, September 22nd or 26th. They're playing Atlanta, and I'm gonna try to get my ass over there to see them because you're seeing both the brothers. That's basically Sepultura. And
Exactly.
Igor on the drum kit with his tribal shit, and then Max up there handling most of the rhythm riffs. I'm not too big on solos. Andreas Kisser's has really good solos, but I'm happy to go see those two guys. But
Yeah, Rhythm
Sepultura,
All is opening up for them at the end of this coming month.
yeah,
Luckies.
yeah, hell yeah. That's a good band to open up for them too, for them
Mm-hmm.
all. But this is probably my favorite of them, and it wasn't when it first came out. Like Arise was my favorite. Beneath the Remains was good, but the production sucks on this one.
It
Not as bad
does.
as what is it, Bestial Ferocity or whatever, or
Yeah.
Morbid Visions. Those two have absolute shit production. This one is a step up, but it's still not really good.
Didn't
But
quite capture them until I'd say Roots.
yeah,
Roots
like
was the first one that was
I
perfect.
think I think Terry Date did this one, and I was really happy with not Arise, Chaos AD. I love this album, and
That's a
it
great
was
fucking
not my
album.
wasn't my favorite when it came out, but fucking love it now. So Sepultura, great band, really creative, and go listen. So they're going by Cavalera now. The Cavalera, it used to be Cavalera Conspiracy, now it's just the two of them, and they're doing the logo just like the old Sepultura logo as well, but it says Cavalera. Really cool. Like I hope I can make that show. The only trouble is Cannibal Corpse, Gorguts, and I forget who. Gorguts is the third band down. I've got to go see Gorguts. I
Got
saw
to.
them. I saw Gorguts in '91, and that's when they were just straight up death metal. I got to see them with their weird shit. I got to see them live. So
When
I
they
think
get
that's
a little more artistic and creative, it does kind of makes you wonder
yeah. That show is at the
what is that
Fillmore.
experience like?
Yeah. So, anyways, Sepultura, fucking excellent. They were spoken about being in the Big Four, and I would definitely take Anthrax's ass out of the Big Four for that.
I don't know what in the hell made anyone think that they should be in the first place.
I think they were riding the back of SOD. SOD is Stormtroopers of Death are way better than Anthrax to me.
Yes, I agree with that 1,000%.
And didn't wasn't the
Um,
bassist Dan Lilliker for SOD? I think he was from
a lot
Nuclear
of those
Assault.
guys got around
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
quite a bit.
I have it here, but I don't know if they're going to say it on the back.
Hmm,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure. I'm almost positive Dan Lilliker plays on this. This is another one of my top 30 albums of all time. So fucking good.
Just fucking hilarious.
Oh yes.
More than anything. Um, okay. So my next one, and it's not just because I'm absolutely in love with Gary, the guitar player. You probably already know who I'm talking about.
I don't know.
I
That's all
do
you
love
have to say
the
is Gary.
man. Who there was nobody better to step up into Slayer when Hanneman unfortunately left us, but Exodus, brutal fucking metal, just so fucking heavy, so fast, so chuggalicious. Lyrics are absolutely insanity personified. Some of it probably disturbing, most of it pissed off just about anybody who is a conservative, to be honest. Uh, just, I don't know. And I still wonder to this day, what would they have been like if Kirk Hammett was still their guitar player?
Gary
Could you
Holt and Kirk
imagine?
Hammett.
Yeah, because he was one of the originals.
Yeah.
So, Bonded by Blood, that's my album. I absolutely love that one. It was the first one I ever listened to. I mean, I seen them in Hit Parader. Who remembers that?
Hmm.
Metal Maniacs,
Oh
the
yeah.
great metal mags that I just took everywhere with me. constantly would see interviews and stuff, and that's what really kind of drew me to them. I absolutely dug them, even before I knew Kirk ever played with them. So, not as much love as you would think. Now, they are currently touring and just tearing it up everywhere they go. Pretty sure they have a new album out right now as well, which is bad fucking ass. And I mean, they're just as great as they were back then.
Yep, absolute, the epitome of thrash. And I think because you brought up Exodus, I knew one of us would. You have to talk about the San Francisco Bay scene, and
Ah,
and they were the anchor there. And then other bands like Metallica moved from LA and went up there and had to kind of earn their reputation up there because this is where the word poser came out. If you were a fucking poser, I mean, they wrote songs about posers.
yes,
And
they did.
I remember that word in the 80s. It got to Phoenix, Arizona, quite a bit.
It
Yeah.
was a
So,
standard in which you got measured by,
yeah.
whether you legitimately had the sound all about what you're doing and not just doing it because you saw other people doing it. Um, it's like this is you or you're a poser. It's just no in between. Hell yeah.
All right. Well, my number four is we're going to stay in the Bay Area. This is a band out of the Bay Area. Most of them are of Asian descent. Like Overkill, like Exodus, they have stayed together, and to me, they're better now. I need to get the album that came out in 2019. It's kind of a
Mm.
purple background with a bunch of goats kind of running out towards you. And let me see if I see him on your banner. I don't see him on the banner, but I'm talking about a band that is a little bit more groove oriented. And this is thrash with a little bit more of a smile, but very much socially enlightened kind of lyrics. So, like Exodus, they're writing about social issues, um,
Hmm.
rape, they're writing about poverty, things like that. And I'm talking about Death Angel.
Oh yes.
They have so many albums that they've put out, and now they're a little bit more gritty. Back then, they had this album in particular has a lot of groove, and I used to have all their early stuff on cassette. I didn't replace all of them because there was so much new death metal. I was getting into black metal, so I can only buy so much.
Well,
But
yeah.
this is one I had to get. This has a really good kind of slower paced, easy listening song called A Room with a View. Just a lot of beautiful songs, good vocalists, excellent solos, like really talented guitarists, much better than I am. Really good, memorable riffs, but these guys kind of go in the fun category of thrash, where I would not put Sodom, Creator, Slayer, Dark Angel. They're on the more angry, dark side of thrash. These guys are more, if you want something that's a little bit more happy, more groove oriented, really, really good. Another band that I have never heard a bad album from. And the one that came out in 2019 is an excellent album. Like you'll like it. It's modern thrash. The production's much better. The guitars bite better than they could back then. The drums sound super clear and crisp. Excellent. So Death Angel's another really good one.
To follow that up with my number two, um, definitely this band is on the much darker, scarier side, I would say, of thrash. Um, and they were short lived, and I still don't know why, but the albums that they did have, I haven't really looked them up recently, but I used to love them. Had it on cassette. Rigor Mortis,
Mm-hmm.
very,
One of the first.
very, very thrash, but they also had that groove thing going on as well. Like they were able to kind of mix it up. The vocals, I mean, he just sounded like a fucking cackling little creature thing. I don't know what you would call it. Almost borderline death metal vocals in some cases, but just very screechy. If you liked darker stuff at that time, that was definitely a band for you. Like I said, they were short-lived, and I just do not know why, but maybe they just didn't get the push that all the other guys were doing, because labels back then, Metal Blade, Roadrunner, they were kind of like the Titans, and if you weren't on one of those, it was kind of hard to get a good push. But I always dug them. Very rifflicious, very chugga. Drums were fantastic. Sounded larger than life.
So is that your number 4, or is that your
Yes.
no? Are we at number 5 now? No, we're at number 5 now. That's your number 5.
Oh shit, that's my number 5.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of cool. You brought up you described them really well. That's a band that was too short-lived.
And I was the only one that I knew that listened to them.
Yep.
Out of all the metalheads.
Well, that's one when you saw their album cover. The one did they use Pusshead as well? I think they used Pusshead for that album.
They did.
Yeah. All right. Well, my number 5, we're going to stay in the Bay Area.
Nice.
This is a band. They only put out a few albums. They broke up for a long period. They got back in 2010 or 2011 with their original vocalist, and they put out an album that was like a 2.5 out of 5 stars. It was kind of flat to me. But either that, or I was so into death metal and prog metal at the time, and kind of budding with black metal, that maybe I just wasn't into thrash, because thrash is very unique. A lot of it, like the typical thrash. If the chugga chugga, these guys are all of that, and I'm talking about Paul Bostap's Forbidden. Paul Bostap, who ended up playing for Slayer, was the drummer for Forbidden. This is Forbidden Evil.
I remember the day I bought that damn CD.
Yep. And then this one is equally as good. Twisted into Form is really, really good. This dude can fucking sing. Oh my gosh. The guitars are great throughout on both of these albums are out fucking standing. Chalice of Blood. Chalice of Blood! So good. Not the best production, but okay, these guys came out on Combat Records. Remember Combat Records back in the day? And Forbidden Evil, so fucking good. Forbidden Evil, so fucking good.
I swear a lot of those guys just took a lot of, the original vocalist of Candlemass. They got it from him, and he probably got some of his from Iron Maiden and, King Diamond's influence. You can hear that too, just as high as you could go. But the thing is, though, when you're soaring above the darkness of the music, the riffs, and it's super fast, it's like, it's so perfect. It's like a steamroller, like watching the beginning of like Dragon Slayer or some shit, some kind of like fantasy style movie. It just, to me, it was never wussy. A lot of people I knew growing up during that time thought that shit was wuss. I'm like, no, it ain't. Listen to it again. Listen to what they're saying. It's like, if you could get past some of that, you'd be like, oh, wow, this stuff really is good. And now, Maiden's still, around to this day. So is Priest, so is Candlemass, and some of the other great orchestral kind of vocalist or operatic.
It was so hard to come up with only 5.
Well, I mean, there was the
so many
Possessed.
good ones.
The Possessed was fucking amazing.
I would call it, that is more thrashy, but the vocals were starting to become death metal, but that's more of a thrash album. I agree. They try to say that's the first death metal album. I disagree. I think Scream Bloody Gore was. Because that's death metal through and through. Old school death metal.
Yes.
But Forbidden, check them out. Really, really good. And they've got a new lead singer now. He probably can sing his balls off. He's probably really good. And they're doing another album coming out shortly.
Hell yeah.
Forbidden. Twisted to Form. The songs off this album, Out of Body, Out of Mind, Step by Step, and Twisted into Form. Step by Step is really catchy song. Excellent album. I got those in 1990. Well, Twisted into Form is 1990.
Absolutely. So many great thrash bands. So I thought I would take it upon myself to see what the 10 greatest thrash metal bands according to the experts. And let's see if it mirrors some of what we've talked about here. So I think you'll dig this a lot.
Well, we're going to also talk about new, like there's some good kind of new thrash bands that are out that are really good. We'll talk about that too.
Abso-damn-lutely.
To the slaughter of those that were there to protect. Nailed to the cross and put on display to the set. Destiny stripped like flesh being ripped from the bone. Sentence death by the mark to which you are grown. There comes the price of king. So lost flipping in the past. Price of king.
Look at Gramps getting it over there on the guitar. I love to see that shit.
Watch me hills, I can't up the candle, watch you see. Oh, yeah. Why don't you say it on peace? You don't touch it off disease. That's a bird stop me born. Find them all on the wall. Enemy of God. Your routine and innocence is killed. Enemy of God.
Eric Peterson.
That breakdown, though, even though it's for like 2 seconds. Now that's from the 80s. Yeah, we were just I don't know what's scarier, Terry King's long hair or Tom Cook. Okay, apparently we had some technical difficulties there. we're just gonna skip right over that. Nothing against, like I said, the first Kill 'Em All record. They can have that if you know that's their legacy, in my opinion.
Yep. Excellent.
Or anything that Cliff Burton was on.
Yep. So fucking good. I'm glad they put Sodom on there. That's one that was really tough to leave off. But I was either going to put Sodom or Creator. And I decided to put Creator on there. But Sodom is another one. The vocals are much more gritty and nasty than most thrash from the middle to late 80s. Really good albums. Agent Orange, really good song.
You could definitely see a progression of how all the bands that were higher up on the list there all had the same elements. The fastness, the fast vocals, some of them a little bit more melodic than others. Every vocalist has like what they can do, you know, but it was just very indicative of thrash when you're moving that fast with a riff. You know, you got to choke them words, keep them short, just rambling through it. But I mean, it just always seemed to fit. And that's what made thrash so good, in my opinion.
Another honorable mention.
Voivod didn't make it on there. Destruction.
The Destruction is another good one.
Wasn't even on there.
Yeah, well, some people try to call them death metal, and they're not death metal. They're thrash, but they're odd because they're kind of death metal. But that's probably why.
Well, and to be honest, though, at that time, they didn't really know what death metal was.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
It wasn't a thing. So they were in a class of their own, maybe ahead of their time a little bit.
Yeah, go on YouTube and listen to Cavalera, the two albums. If you put in Cavalera new album, the new ones will come up. You can stream the whole thing. They are so damn good. Really, really good.
I'm definitely doing that.
Really, really good. This is another band I saw last night, Ex-Hoarder. So if you took Phil Anselmo and made Phil Anselmo really evil and had him have a lot of lyrics that churches would not like, that's Ex-Hoarder. Ex-Hoarder is another band that they're heavier than Slayer. They're heavier than a lot of these other thrash bands. Super fast. And Pat O'Brien last night, the troubled guitarist of Cannibal Corpse, was playing guitar for Ex-Hoarder. And when I saw him up there, I was like, I know him. He's really tall. His hair is down to his belly button. No personality, and just headbangs like this, just little headbangs with his. I can't even see his face at all. But his guitar is his BC Rich V is nasty. I wish I could have that thing.
Well, I mean, he might not be moving like he once did in Death or Cannibal Corpse, probably due to the fact that he's on a ton of antipsychotics. So
yeah, he could be. Holy cow!
Best of luck to you, Ex-Hoarder.
Yeah. Look up Pat O'Brien if you guys want to read an interesting news article. Read about Pat O'Brien and troubles with the law and guns.
Pretty crazy shit.
Yeah. So who else did we leave? I'm glad that you hit Nuclear Assault. Oh, let's talk about new thrash bands that are really good. I want to give 3. Havoc. Havoc is really fucking nasty. Like the vocals are kind of black metalish. Municipal Waste is fun, kind of goofy, really, really well done thrash. Like if I think of a thrash band that's like stereotypical thrash with the chugging and the kind of fun gang lyrics, gang backup vocals, that's Municipal Waste. Municipal Waste. And then I saw Heathen last night. Heathen are more like Death Angel, kind of fun, kind of like Death Angel and Anthrax. Kind of fun, happy thrash metal. Very technical, excellent guitarist. The vocalist can sing really, really well. Drummer was great last night. Excellent band. A lot of fun. Looked like really nice guys. Great bass player, too. Havoc, Municipal Waste, and Heathen. I've written them down here. You can see them right
Yeah, Havoc I've heard of before, and I actually think I did hear something by Heathen as well. Most of them are like snippets. You catch them on, Instagram, like, the little reels or whatever. That's how I've been kind of discovering some of these guys now. So, but the other one I'll definitely have to check out for sure.
Toxic Holocaust is another one. They're kind of a little bit too sloppy, but that's another one. They're on tour right now with Havoc. It's Havoc and Toxic Holocaust and a couple other cool bands.
Nice. It's good to see that, thrash is coming back, because a lot of people said for years that thrash is dead. And then DRI comes out doing a tour, and suddenly they're like, wait a minute, maybe it's not.
Yeah, DRI, like, I want to do an episode on crossover bands, because I've got a list of those that are really good. Like, I know what my top 5 are going to be, but we'll probably cross over, so I'll have to find a couple more. But another one is Violence. They only put out a couple albums, but there's one that has this giant mouth with all kinds of teeth. That one's really good. SOD is more of a crossover band. DRI became thrash, but they were more of a crossover band. Love them too. Let's see. I guess that's about it, because you hit Nuclear Assault. That was one I was going to use. So, yeah, this is a fun episode.
Hell yeah. Glad everybody could show up for it.
Can't go wrong with any of the ones. The one that I really wish I maybe should have put in there is Sodom. Sodom is really, really good. Destruction is really good as well.
Well, shit. I mean, you could hear it, out there at Black Flame Land just from that YouTube video. And none of this shit is hard to find. It's not like back in the 80s when this shit was coming out for the first time. It's like you either knew a friend who had it, or, we didn't have the Spotify, the YouTube, and all that shit. Mm-hmm. So if you heard some bands on there that you might want to check out, or even the ones that we listed, please do. They're fucking easy to get to. Do it.
Oh, I have 2 more.
Expand your listening.
One is Sacred Reich, which is right above me here. Sacred Reich put out a bunch of really good albums. They're from Phoenix, Arizona. Their first album is Ignorance, really, really good. They put out several good albums. And another Phoenix-based band, thrash band, that is outstanding, better than Sacred Reich to me. The only reason why I didn't put them on is they only did 2 albums. They have a new album that came out not too long ago, and this band is Atrophy. They had one came out in '88 and one that came out in, I think it's Violent by Nature was the one that came out in 1990. Really, really, especially the 1988 one. The production sounds better in that one, surprisingly so. But Atrophy, excellent. Front to back, both of those albums, 4.5 out of 5 stars. Excellent thrash albums.
And Neurosis started out as a thrash band, because they're also on that list there. But they ended up becoming experimental doom. So if you check out Neurosis's first few albums, very thrashy, very heavy. But even their doomier stuff is great too. It's almost like doom and thrash can go hand in hand. And we've seen it done.
Overkill's The Years of Decay has 2 absolute doom albums. If you love doom, oh my gosh, The Years of Decay. That and Skull Crusher.
And later Slayer too.
Yeah.
Although they probably don't want to admit it, but it's true. There's a lot of different crossover genres that some of these thrash bands, and that's kind of like what you were talking about, the crossover bands. They're the ones that can grab fans from either side of the fence. So, check them out. They're easy to find. Definitely check out the ones we told you about, because you've had the big 4 crammed down your throat probably for the last 10 years. Check out the rest of them.
Anthrax
There's
is
a
overrated.
lot more depth.
Anthrax Has a few good riffs here and there, but just I none of their Piece of Time. I liked that album, but the others to me are at best 3 out of 5 stars, and a lot of them are 2 out to me. But
Well, Piece of Time
that's
had
me.
a different vocalist.
No, that would have been the one right
Wasn't it?
after. Yeah, Piece of Time still had Joey Belladonna. It was the White Noise. That one.
Oh.
The sound of White Noise. But
I always get those two backwards. So
this is
that
better.
record right there.
This fucking album, but this is I didn't say this one because it's a crossover. It has a lot more hardcore elements in it, but oh my god, the riffs in here. Like you'll hear Anthrax in here, but it's better. It's Scott Ian writing better riffs than Anthrax. Fucking awesome. Top 30 all-time best metal albums. So good.
And the last honorable mention I want to give before we close out. When Odorous Urungus was there at the beginning, the very first couple of those records by Guar were very thrash influenced.
Yep. Totally.
They ended up becoming crossover, obviously, with a lot of the funny shit or even some of the funky shit that they would throw in there. But that's because at that point, man, they proved they had chops. So it was like, man, let's really make this a show. And they started fucking around. But those first couple records were fast, man. Very fast, very heavy.
If you can ever go see Guar, go see him. A lot of fun. I lost my wedding band. They sprayed me with a gun of green slime, and I put my hands up so it didn't go in my eyes. And then I went like this, and my wedding band went down, and that show was packed. I spent the whole show feeling around with my feet trying to find my wedding band. I found it at the front up against the stage underneath a grate, all scratched up.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Thank goodness you found it, though. All right. That's our synopsis on what we feel are basically, and it's hard, people. It's really hard, but we gave you 10 of the true best in thrash, not just the mainstream shit. So always dig deeper, keep your nose in the underground, and always try to listen to newer stuff. And we've proven also that it's not a dead genre. Thrash is making a comeback. So, there's some underground ones too that no one even fucking knows about. Dawn of Ascension, and Bethel. Bethel is one of my favorites out of Pittsburgh. So, most importantly, people, it's going into hump day, so we're halfway through the week. Join me tomorrow night for some sensation. That'll be fun on the underground. And always, most importantly, stay heavy.
All residents, go in and stay in your houses. Drive the rats in the tank area.